Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be talking about some characters who I would be investing in right now. We're going to talk about a massive milestone for the account with a huge shout out to our good friend Wombat. So we've got a lot to cover, guys. I'm really excited. I want to say I very much appreciate you guys in the comments coming at, and like you said, hey Phil, you've been really negative lately, and I love that you guys are calling me out for it. I'm all about it. Like, one, it's engagement, which is awesome for YouTube, but I love hearing that you guys like when I'm positive. So hopefully you enjoy this video today. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Let's give our shout out to the channel members as always for their continued support and faith in me. You guys are part of the Fat family, and it is so much appreciated. I really cannot thank you all enough for, the generosity, and hopefully your accounts are getting better and you're enjoying the community that my Discord server offers, which is linked down below. So let's talk about the game here, and I want to get to a massive milestone that was reached on the account last night. I was able to get through the Secrets and Shadows Assault Challenge Tier 3. I hadn't even been able to get through Challenge Tier 2. And last night, Wombat was pushing my account so hard to say, Phil, you can do it. And these are my Night Sisters. I will show you in the game that this is actually what my Night Sisters were. Like, this is not me trolling. These are my Night Sisters. These are the mods that I have on them normally, right? Like Daka, or like Talzin, Asajj, Marin, Zombie. They're all modded the way that they normally are. The only one I changed stuff on was Daka at Relic 5. So you think I did this with 3 Gear 12 Night Sisters, a Relic 2 Asajj, Relic 5 Daka. Daka, obviously the MVP. With Marin, a very close second. This was a lot of RNG. In terms of how much time did I spend on this, my attorney has given me the advice that I should take my Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate myself. Let's just say that between like one attempt and more than I can count, we're on the more than I can count side of things. It was a lot. But with Daka, what I did was I changed up her mods. We still kept her very health focused, but I did put a crit avoidance arrow up here. Not even a 6-1, just like a crit avoidance arrow, which, just like key note for you guys, have some crit avoidance arrows just kind of sitting in your account. Even if they're not that good, it's just nice to have them for certain situations. Then otherwise, I loaded up on as much health, protection, and defense as I could. Now, protection isn't overly important, but the one thing the protection does do, when you get into phase 4 against Sidious and he leads off with those AoEs and deletes your entire team, if you can keep it so that way Daka has protection going in, you have a better chance of her surviving the initial one, being able to revive everybody, and it's just a little bit more survivability because her health she's going to get from the secondaries anyway. The other thing here was defense. We loaded up on defense just to show you guys the, defense secondaries here. We have 6% here. Obviously, the full amount on the diamond. None on the crit avoidance arrow, which was unfortunate. But then 13, 8, and 14. So we had a lot of defense on this, on these girls, right? We had a lot of defense here on Daka, and I think that was a big part of why we were able to succeed. So these are the mods. I have this pinned to my server if you ever want to look, but this should give you hope that with a really good Daka, you can get to tier 3. So shout out Wombat for pushing me. Very much appreciate that. So I want to take that segue just to show you guys that because I thought that was very, very impressive. Let's get into the characters that you should be farming. So right now, the first one I would say is Barriss, and I'm going to tease Luminara only for her potential with Queen Amidala. I want to give Barriss a big shout that I think she's one of the most versatile Jedi characters in the game. Her unique ability, Swift Recovery here, with the Zeta, you do need the Zeta for this. At the end of each of her turns, Barriss dispels all debuffs from the weakest debuffed ally and gains 10% turn meter for each debuff removed. Whenever an ally is critically hit, that ally recovers 20% health and Barriss gains 10% turn meter. I think this character, she's fantastic with Rey. She can make those Rey teams extremely difficult to beat. You could put her with a Qui-Gon Jinn team, with Keller and Beck. I'd imagine with Queen Amidala, she'll have a lot of good use that you could say, oh, well, locked healing immunity kills her. Okay, fine. You're forcing somebody to use a higher caliber team to beat you. And that's kind of the goal. Like, a lot of times I think we get so focused on, oh, if I don't get a hold, that team's a failure. So often you've got to think about, it's not so much that I need a, hold from somebody. More so, I just need them to, eat up a counter from somebody else that takes it away from another team. So somebody like Barris pulling out some of those, Inquisitors and other things that you may want to use on another team because you need the locked healing immunity against her. So I think she's a really great character. Has a lot of potential in a lot of teams. Where Luminara, I think, will have some potential with Queen Amidala because of heal over times and this Omicron. I'm not entirely convinced yet because part of the Omicron kind of calls out that like these protection up can't gain these bonuses. So, and I think there's some protection over time inside of Queen Amidala's kit that I think would stop Luminara from reaching that full potential. So I'm teasing Luminara, at least it put in the back of your head, but really calling out Barris for that heal on those critical hits in the Queen Amidala team. I think that could really, really set you up for success and force even more difficult teams to face you. Now, the next one is Kaidi Mundy, sticking with Galactic Republic Jedi here. I know a lot of you are going to hate me because, we did the video showing that, Guild Event Currency 3 is not really the best way to get Kaidi Mundy. You're better off trying to get him in GOTB. But this is because, in my opinion, Kaidi Mundy needs to go with Keller and Beck at this point. I feel wherever Keller and Beck goes, that's where Kaidi Mundy needs to go. Because Keller and Beck, obviously the team with the Datacron, absurd right now. But I think if you put Keller and Beck with Qui-Gon Jinn even, you're still going to want Kaidi Mundy in that team because of the Jedi Council ability, where if everybody's a Galactic Republic Jedi, they're going to have 30 speed, additional max health, and 20% offense. And then support and healer role have an additional offense equal to 10% of their max health. So I think that allows you that if you want to have a Keller and Beck team and a Qui-Gon Jinn team, you could make that happen because you put Keller and Beck, Kaidi Mundy, and then you could use characters like Barris, Grandmaster Yoda, Shock T, Imagundi, Luminara even in there. Like, there's a bunch of these characters who you could kind of make a team out of because Kaidi Mundy is going to be boosting all of their health, offense, the additional protection, giving them extra offense as well based on max health. It can be really, really scary. So I really think he can kind of go with Keller and wherever Keller and Beck goes. Because if you're going to put Keller and Beck with Qui-Gon, then you need Kaidi Mundy in there just to kind of keep that synergy going and make your Anakin nuke people that much harder. So, and this goes to also, if you have Kaidi Mundy at level 1, he's worth the investment because there's some other Jedi teams that you can kind of sneak into, and one of them is Jedi Master Luke. If you stay in a Taru form, yes, you're going to lose the Jedi Council, but when he uses his basic, if he's in a Taru form, he attacks again. So what you end up doing under Jedi Master Luke is you're going to call Kaidi Mundy to assist, and he's going to deal damage with the, reduction from, again, minus 90%, but with the, damage of base max protection. But then he goes again and hits for full damage. So Kaidi Mundy, calling him to assist in that Jedi Master Luke team, allows you to get a lot more damage out on the field with the same, in the same period of time. That it's not anything additional. It's just because, you're not having to do an extra step. It's just, hey, I'm calling Kaidi Mundy, and he's going to use his basic twice. First time with Jedi Master Luke's base protection. Second time, Kaidi Mundy's offense really gets a lot of damage out there. Trench. All of you come at me in the comments. I will defend Admiral Trench. I am here for it. I'm the champion of the most hated Swago characters between Rey, Lord Vader, and Trench. I'm here for it, guys. Come at me. This dude needs to be off the bench now. I think Capital Games made it very clear that they do not want Admiral Trench on the bench anymore. And I think a lot of you are in a position where this character is something where you could potentially be working on him because, first, let's just go to this right here. Think of those Separatist Lightspeed bundles that we got. You have the Geonosian one and the Padme one. The Padme one gives you 3 of Admiral Trench's team with Jango, Newt, and Dooku. Then, on top of that, if you got the Geonosian bundle or you already had Geonosian Brood Alpha at Relics, you have another solid member that then still allows you to use Wat Tambor with Sith Eternal, which I think is a lot of our hesitation. It was mine for a very long time with Trench, was I did not feel that I could, really make an Admiral Trench team because I didn't have a place to put, Wat Tambor. I'm now making that sacrifice because of the Datacron. Afterwards, I don't know what we'll do. But I think the real reason why Admiral Trench needs to come off the bench now is the stat. One of the other reasons I kept Trench at level 1 is when I did when I did use General Grievous, I used Newt Gunray with him. And with Newt now with the staff kind of saying, hey, I want to be with General Grievous all the time, and I like all Separatist droids, right? I think that kind of kicked Newt to the curb out of that General Grievous team. And that's going to give you these Separatist characters that you can put Trench in there with. I feel a lot of you in those Kyber 2, Kyber 3, Kyber 4, I think Trench will stop a lot of opponents, or they will overkill him because they don't know how to beat him. Yes, at Arnold's level, even at my level sometimes, without his Datacron, Trench, not the greatest character in Grand Arena. But we also have much larger rosters. I've got 10.8 million galactic power. Like, I have all the galactic legends. I have Bane. I'm working on Bo. Like, when you have a roster like that, yeah, characters like Trench, who is a territory war character, are not that great in Grand Arena comparative to Starkiller. But for a lot of you, when you don't have those other things, Trench can be a very good investment for you. And especially if your guild likes territory wars, he's very good in territory war. I know most guilds will require you to have an Admiral Trench Omicron team for territory wars. So I absolutely think he needs to come off the bench. Your Grand Arena, guys, Grand Arena is not a game of checkers, it's a game of chess. Sometimes you have to be willing to sacrifice a, bishop to get a chance at their queen, right? That you've got to make those sacrifices, and Trench kind of can be one of those things that you're offering up that sacrificial, piece to further your position, right? That's what I get for TikTok and watching Magnus Carlsen all the time. So, chess analogies. All right, next character is Vandor Chewbacca. So, with Vandor Chewbacca, this is my way of saying Bo-Katan coming into the game has changed the way that you're going to use Beskar Armor Mando. Where a lot of us would use Dash Rendar, Beskar Armor Mando, Hondo, Queel, L3, Vandor. There's kind of all these different variations with Dash. And I think Bam at times was almost a better character to put in that team than Vandor, simply because Vandor was, he's kind of got this soft taunt that regardless of who's in that team, you're going to go for Vandor first because he's just going to revive people, or you're going to bring General Skywalker and just ensure nobody's making it out alive. I think with Bam going to Bo-Katan, you're going to want Vandor Chewbacca as an option for your Dash team, because I still think Dash serves a very good purpose for players. I think offensively it's a great team, and I even think defensively, with the right characters in there, it really can cause problems for your opponent, especially if you're, again, kind of playing that checkers or that chess type of defense where I'm willing to give up, your Inquisitors or my Inquisitors losing to your Traya, and now you've got this Dash team that's going to delete somebody if you don't know how to beat it. So I really think this is a team that's a character that can really elevate your account, and low Kyrotech here too. Low Kyrotech here, which is always a solid, right? Chef's kiss on that. So I definitely think that's a character who I'd be kind of penciling in the back of your mind if you're working on Bo, getting closer to her. Vandor kind of starts to make a lot of sense for that Dash team. Last but not least is Plo Koon. And I even think Zareth had this character in a list of like, hey, I'd work on this character. And I've really come around to it as I've kind of continued to progress towards trying to counter different fleets. Plo Koon is no longer a reinforcement. We're using this guy in starting lineups to beat certain fleets, and I can tell you mine at Gear 12 just isn't cutting it anymore. And he was in the General Skywalker bundle at Relic 3, which I thought was a solid by Capital Games, but he's not just a reinforcement anymore, and because of that, I think we do want those relics on him because he is going to play an important role. And one other thing to note there is he is a Jedi tank, which the Starkiller team loves Jedi tanks, right? It says, flat out Jedi tank. And we've seen Arnold use Plo Koon in that team a lot. And that would allow your old Ben to go with Galactic Legends Leia. So Plo does offer some of those options for you that you can kind of use him in some of those teams. And again, it's a Galactic Republic Jedi, so if you're trying to build a Kellersbeck team and a Qui-Gon Jinn team, Plo Koon can often kind of fill some of those gaps where you need to. So that way everybody's Galactic Republic and Jedi Knight Anakin's operating at his fullest potential, and Kaidi Mundi's unique is activated. So those are some things that I think I'd be building right now. Again, what I should say here, I'm not telling you to build every single one of these characters. I would say if you have maybe one of these that you're like, yeah, you know what, maybe that's a good idea, Ask yourself which one has the now impact. That I'm going to build this character. If I gave you one of these characters today, or if I gave you every single one of these characters at Relic 5 today, would you set them in your Grand Arena defense? Would you actually have a place for them in your Grand Arena defense? Like for me, with the Stap, I would not yet, because I'd need to put, some gear into like B2. But, that's it, like what actually has now impacted. Like right now, today, with nothing else, you would get impact. That's kind of a good way to judge which of these characters makes the most sense for you. Let me know your thoughts down below. Again, like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, my friends.